The belief and practice of magic has existed since the dawn of time. Magicians, sorcerers, wizards, and witches have always existed. And this topic, the topic of magic, has always been an area of interest for many people. And thus you find many people, they go and attend magic shows. Some people that attend these shows, they believe in what they see, that indeed this magician has superpowers. And other people, they don't believe in that, but they just want to enjoy the show. And you find some people, they take their interest to a further level in that they try to become magicians. They try to perform magic shows and tricks. So in general, many people, they have an interest and enjoy music, magic. But when we come to religions, we find that it's a different story. Religions are not so fond, in general, religions are not so fond of magic. They have a negative view and perception of magic. And they want their followers, they prefer that their followers stay away from magic. And one reason behind that may be due to the fact that throughout the course of history, most magic that has been practiced has been the black magic, the evil magic, the magic that hurts other people, that creates problems in society. And that's why, inshallah, tonight and tomorrow we will analyze and discuss the topic of magic from an Islamic perspective. And we will go over 4 important points. Number 1, how does Islam view magic? Number 2, Islamically, what exactly is the definition of magic? Number 3, is there real magic, or is all the magic that we see fake? And finally, number 4, where in the Quran does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about magic? So we will, inshallah, go over these 4 points tonight and tomorrow. But before we begin, allow salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So point number 1, how does Islam view magic? Now, when we come to the religion of Islam, we find that Islam categorically rejects magic. And Islam has a very, very negative view of magic. And that Islam harshly condemns magic and magicians. And this is based on numerous traditions from Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. For example, in one tradition, it's narrated that says, As-sahiru kafir, or kal-kafir. A magician is like a kafir, like a disbeliever. In another tradition, the hadith says, As-sahiru mal'oon. A magician is cursed. We find in another tradition narrated by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says there are 3 people that will not enter heaven if they obviously don't repent. And one of the 3 that Rasulullah mentions is mudminu sihrin, someone who is addicted to magic, a magician that always wants to perform magic tricks. Will not enter the heaven unless he repents. And finally, in a tradition narrated by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the Imam, he says, من تعلم شيئا من السحر قليلا أو كثيرا فقد كفر بالله. Whoever learns any magic, whether it's small or large amount of magic, that person has disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a form of kufr. So based on this, we understand that Islam condemns magic and condemns magicians and has a very negative view of that. And that's why you find our ulama, when they list the sins, amongst the sins is magic, is sihr. Learning and practicing magic is considered a sin by our ulama. And not only is a sin, it's considered amongst the kaba'ir, the big sins, not just a small sin. Now, like I said, one reason maybe behind that is because most of the magic that's practiced is black magic, meaning evil magic. And magic is a very powerful tool, and it could be easily used to hurt other people. And thus Islam wants us to stay away from it. This could be one reason why it has such a negative look towards magic, because of its power. And because of, in most cases, it's used in the wrong way. So this is number 1. We understand how Islam views magic. And most ulama, they say that even if the magic is part of the white magic, if it's not used in the harmful way, it's still haram. It's still haram. I'm not allowed to learn or practice any magic, and I'll explain more of that inshallah in the next minutes. So this is number one. Number two, what exactly is the definition of magic that's forbidden? This practice that's forbidden, that's so evil in Islam, what exactly is the definition of magic? Now here, brothers and sisters, this is where the problem rises. And that there is no clear definition to magic. The ulama, you'll find each alim has his own definition. There is so much disagreement between the ulama ever since 1,000 years ago till today. What is the definition of magic? And why is there so much disagreement? Why the controversy? It's simple. All these traditions, they speak about as-sihr in the Arabic language. And the problem is that the word as-sihr is not very clear what it is. What is as-sihr? And what does it apply to? And what's sihr and what's not sihr? Now even though sihr is translated in the English language as to be magic, but in Arabic it's not so clear. Because when we go and refer to Arabic dictionaries, especially the old dictionaries, we find that the definition that's given by the dictionaries to magic, it's not very clear. Most dictionaries, if you go back to the word sahara in the Arabic language, they will define magic, sihr, as being what? They will say anything that's mysterious or deceptive. Just that. Any mysterious or deceptive method is considered as magic. Now obviously this definition is ambiguous. It's too vague. It's too broad because it applies to many things that are not magic. For example, if someone lies, is this considered magic? Obviously not. No one considers this magic. But the definition applies because it's using deceptive methods. If someone cheats, for example, certain aspects of technology. There are certain aspects of technology that are mysterious, especially advanced technologies that only the military possesses. This is a mystery. How does it work? Nobody knows how certain, for example, fighter jets work. The stealth jets that for example, the US makes. These are a mystery to most people. So is this magic? Making these fighter jets is magic? Obviously not. So this shows us that the definition that's provided by the Arabic dictionaries is too vague. It's too broad. And it applies to things that are definitely not magic. So that's why the ulama were confused here. What exactly is magic? When Rasulullah, when Imam Ali, when the Imams were speaking about magic and they say this is kufr, this is haram, what exactly were they talking about? Now there are some things that are obviously magic, but there are many gray areas. Is this magic or is this not magic? So that's why you'll find each alim has his own interpretation. Each alim has his own definition based on his understanding of what magic is. And thus, in order to understand which forms of magic are halal, which are haram, what exactly is magic, what are not, we have to list all the possible actions that are considered as magic and see which one of them is truly magic and which one of them is not magic, which one of them is haram and which one of them is not. So you find many ulama, when they come to defining magic, they say there are two types of magic. The first type of magic is the fake magic. It's not real. It's all illusions and deception. And the second type of magic is the real magic. Those magicians that do have superpowers. So they divide magic into two parts. So first we come to the first part, which is the major part of magic. This is the fake magic. The ulama, they define the first type, the fake type of magic, as being using any deceptive methods to fool the human being, but through mysterious ways. So it has to involve deceit. It has to involve deception. It has to involve fooling the human being's eyes or his senses or his brain. But it has to be done in a mysterious way, in a hidden way. If it's done in an obvious way, it's not magic. So this shows us that number one, it's not real. It's all fake. Number two, it has to involve what? It has to involve fooling. It has to involve deception. It has to involve manipulating the brain of the human being. And thus, these same ulama, when they come to the fake magic, using deception in a mysterious way, they say there's two types of fake magic. The first type of fake magic involves using illusions. Using illusions, whether they're optical illusions or any other types of illusions. Fooling the eye of the human being or the brain of the human being and creating illusions. This is the first type of magic that's forbidden. And that's why you see a skilled magician is able to make you see what's not truly there. He'll make you see something that's not there. It's an illusion. Or he will make you not see something that's actually there. And thus you find a skilled magician will appear, he's not really doing it, will appear to me in my eyes to be cutting a woman into two pieces. You've seen the magic shows. They bring the woman, she sleeps on a surface, and then he brings a saw, or most of the times they sleep in a coffin, and he takes the saw and he begins to cut that coffin into two pieces, and then he separates it. And the woman is still alive. So he's appearing to what? To do something supernatural. He's cutting a human into two pieces, and then he brings her back together, and she's alive. Nothing's wrong with her. For this reason you find many people, they believe in magicians. Why? Because it appears to them that something supernatural is being done. Now, is it really being done or not? No. It's a trick. It's an illusion. It's a deception. It's not true, but it appears to be true. You'll see that amongst the famous magic tricks is that he'll show you a hat. It's a deep hat, a black hat. He shows it to the audience. It's empty. He turns it this way and he recites a chant, let's say abracadabra or something like that, and then he pulls out what? A rabbit or something else, a dove, a pigeon from it. So it will fool me into believing that what? That he made it appear out of nothing. He just read those words and it was created. It was appeared. Or for example, he'll move his magic wand and he will make someone fly. Or he will make someone disappear or someone appear. So all of this is based on what? It's based on illusions. Now how do they get away with it? How do these magicians get away with all of this? How can they fool us? Now sometimes you'll find magicians will use things. They will use things in order to help them in their tricks that are hidden from us. For example, he'll use a magnet. You think it's the wand moving it, well it's the magnet. Or he will use a hidden rope. Or he will hide a door somewhere, behind somewhere. Or there is an opening in the floor and you thought he disappeared but he in fact went in the basement, for example. So they use many hidden tools in order to help them, in order to fool their audiences. Many times they use some aspects of technology or of science that the audience are ignorant of, and they think this person has supernatural power. No, he's only utilizing and taking advantage of science. And this has been mentioned about the sorcerers of the time of Musa, and I'll speak about this tomorrow. They used to always perform magic tricks. Some commentators of the Quran, they have said that they used to use certain aspects of science in order to fool people. People didn't know about that. And I'll give the example tomorrow, inshallah. So they use certain aspects of technology or science. And in other times you find that the sorcerers and the magicians, they take advantage of the limits of the human being's mind. This mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, magicians, and not just magicians, psychologists and scientists, they have discovered that the human being's brain is susceptible and vulnerable to what? To illusions. That in certain circumstances, the human being's brain, his perception of reality will be altered, and thus it will result in what? In illusions. And you see, a magician is someone who's an expert in taking advantage of this weakness. The magician knows that in certain circumstances, the human being will be fooled. The human being is vulnerable to illusions. And that's why you see, for example, they have so many lights. Why? They want to distract you. You see, for example, they play with words to distract you. Or they divert the attention of the audience to the wrong place, and the real stuff is being done somewhere else. They know the human being can only concentrate on one place. Divert the attention over here, and the real stuff is being done over there. The human being thinks it's a magic trick, it's real. So they utilize all these mechanisms, all these methods in order to fool the human being. So this is the first type of fake magic. It involves deception through mysterious ways. The ulama state, most ulama state, that this is all haram. If it involves deception, deceit through mysterious ways, this is haram. The second type of fake magic, according to these ulama, is what it's called in the Arabic language ash-sha'badah. Many scholars, they have considered ash-sha'badah as being a form of magic. And ash-sha'badah in English is translated to sleight of hands. It's the quick and clever movement of the hand. So it also creates illusions. But why? Not because there's deception, because of the person, the magician's fast hands. And this you see in magicians when they use the cards. When they use the cards, you see they shuffle them so fast. So they take advantage of their quick hands in order to fool their audience. This is called sha'badah. And if you just go on the internet, go on YouTube, and you search about some famous and typical magic tricks, you will find how they're able to use their quick hands to fool you. So for example, the ball disappears, or something that disappears. It didn't disappear. They were able to hide it quickly somewhere, but the human being was not able to see that. Just for example, go and write, this is one of the most basic magic tricks, go on YouTube and write the vanishing ball illusion. You'll see someone, many videos, you'll see someone who's standing and he has a red ball in his hand. And he's just juggling it. He's just throwing up and catching it, throwing up and catching it. He does it 5-6 times. The 7th, 8th time, he takes his hand up, but he does not release the ball. The ball is in his hand, but however, you see the ball going up and down. The human being's mind fools him because he does it fast. The human being's mind fools him into thinking the ball went up in the air, but then he shows you it was still in my hand. So this is an optical illusion that they use to fool the human being. So this is the second type of magic. Many ulama, they consider this also as haram because it also involves fooling the human being. So this is the first type of magic. It's all fake. There's nothing real. And then there is the second type of magic. The second type of magic is the magic that is real. And this likewise has been divided by our ulama into 2 parts. They say the first type of real magic is what? Is defined as using mysterious ways in order to do something natural. So this involves, for example, using spells, using chants, using curses. For example, using the aid of jinn, using the aid of spirits, of devils, of demons, and angels, and so on and so forth. So I summon all these spirits, all these creatures, or I use a spell or a chant, but I'm trying to do something that's natural. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's a woman that wants a man to love her. Now there's 2 ways for her to do that. There is a natural way to do that, and there's a magical way in doing that. So the first way that she seduces this man into loving her is through natural ways. She goes and speaks to him, and she creates a relationship with him, and she does things for him, and in the end he loves her through a natural way. This is nothing wrong with that. This is not magic. And then again, there are those that in order for them to seduce certain men, they cast a spell on that man. They cast a spell, they read a chant, and all of a sudden this man is in love with this woman. He's in love. Why? Because they used magic. Now this is considered as haram, because this is using mysterious ways to achieve natural things. Another example. Let's say there's a book in this shelf. I want this book. There's a natural way. I get up and go get it, or I ask someone to bring it for me. Nothing wrong with that. And then I can achieve that same goal through magic. Let's say I move my wand and read something, a chant, or I cast a spell, or I summon a spirit to bring it for me. This is considered as magic. Many ulama say this is haram. This is using magic in order to achieve your goals. This is not allowed. So this is real. It's not fake. There is no fooling. There is no deception. It's all real. So if it involves mysterious ways, then it becomes haram. This is the first type of real magic. The second type of real magic involves using mysterious ways to do supernatural things. And this is the greatest type of magic. So for example, you find a magician that has superpowers. He's able to fly. He's really able to fly. He's able to make things truly disappear. He's able to teleport from one place to another. He's able to take a piece of rock and he turns it into gold. He's able to move the sun. He's able to, for example, turn a human being into a frog. This is considered as magic. He has supernatural powers. And this likewise has been considered by most of our ulama, or many of our ulama, this is magic and this is haram, because this is done through mysterious ways. Now, what we have to be careful of, and what we have to make the clear distinction, is that if any of these things are done through the powers of Allah, direct powers of Allah, then this is not magic. This is a miracle. Likewise, we find Rasulullah, he did many supernatural things. For example, he was able to crack the moon in half. The Holy Quran says, اقتربت الساعة, what? وانشق القمر. This is a miracle. This is not magic. Even though it's supernatural, but this is not magic because this was through Allah directly. So this is not considered as magic. If it's done through a mysterious way, through spells, through chants. If any of you have seen, for example, the movie, The Mummy. It's a very old movie, maybe 10 years ago. You see the mummy guy in the movie, I forgot his name. He performs many magic tricks. It's real, it's supposedly real. He reads certain chants, and he's able to revive people from the dead. Or he's able to, for example, transform a human being into a form of creature. So this is the type of magic that is considered real and that is considered haram by many of the ulama. So this, brothers and sisters, was a quick, even though I extensively gave you all the types of magic, maybe better than some magicians. But this was just to understand what is music and what is not. So many ulama, they consider all these four types are magic, and they are haram. And in a few minutes, I'll speak about the views of some of the contemporary ulama. They disagree. They say no, magic is, even some of this is not magic and it's not haram. But before that, we'll go to the third point. The third point, if you remember, was does real magic exist or does it not exist? Some people, they are skeptical. They say real magic does not exist. It's all fake. It's all illusions and deceit. Some people, they will tell you, no, it does exist. I've seen Fulan do this. I've seen a magician do that. My father told me this. I heard a story from here or there. And they believe that there is true magic. So this is an area of controversy. And likewise, when you go and ask the ulama themselves, do you believe in magic? Is there magic or it's all fake? You will find also disagreements. I have asked some ulama personally, they say it's all fake. I have asked other ulama, they say no, there is real magic. Yes, it's rare, but there is real magic. And they will relate to you some stories of true magic. For example, I once asked one of the ulama about magic. Does it exist or is it all fake? It's all a myth. It's all using deceit. It's all using illusions. This alim told me, no, of course there is magic. And he told me two stories about magic from his father. He says, my father, who was also alim 50, 60 years ago, he went to India. And as you know, India is known, it's the country of all the mysteries and the crazy things and the magicians. So his father went to India, and he says he met an Indian magician, and he says, in front of me, he would take the pits of the date, the seed of the date, he would put it in his in his mouth, and he would take it out, and it was true gold. And he said, my father, he went and he made sure that it wasn't a game, it wasn't any form of deceit, it wasn't any illusion. He saw that it was actually gold. He was taking the seed of the date and turning it into gold. Now, is this true or not? Allahu A'lam. But this view does exist. Or another story that he related of magic, true magic, he says that in the city of Al-Najaf, there was a magician, also 50, 60 years ago. And this magician was believed to hold superpowers. And one day there was a problem between two people. One person had a big problem with another person. So one of them, he wanted to kill the other person, but he didn't want to do it in a natural way. You'd get caught. He wanted to do it through magic. So he went to that magician and he asked him for help. He said, I want a recipe. I want a spell, a chant in order for this person to die. And this magician, according to this alim, he says that this magician gave him the recipe. It was a very strange, bizarre recipe. He told him, I do have a way in which this person will die in a mysterious way, but there is a recipe. What is it? He said, you have to go and find a certain animal. I forgot what the animal was. For example, let's say a cat or a dog or something like that. You have to take that animal and you have to kill it. And then you have to extract the heart of that animal. And before you do that, you need a few pieces of the hair of that person that you want to die. So you bring the hair of that innocent victim and you place it somewhere on the floor. And then you take out the heart of that animal, and while it's still dripping blood, while it's still wet, you hang it over the hair, and the blood has to drip over the hair of that victim. Now, the blood will drip, and while it's dripping, you have to read a certain chant. And you have to bring the name of that person that you want to die. And as soon as that heart dries up, and it no longer drips, that person's heart will stop. Automatically will stop through magic. So the alim says that it's narrated in the Najaf, that person did that, and he achieved his goal. That person's heart automatically stopped. All of a sudden it stopped. He had absolutely no health problems, and there was no evident problem. He was all by himself in his house. All of a sudden they saw that he died. Now, are these stories true or not? I don't know. Allahu A'lam. But however, there are people that believe there is true magic and it's not all fake. And when we go back to the Holy Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does speak about magic in numerous verses that I'll mention tomorrow, inshallah. He does speak about as-sihr, magic. But, however, there is no clear indication in the Quran whether that magic that was practiced is real or it was fake. There is no clear indication. It's still vague. Yes, there's magic, but is it clear or not? This is still an area of dispute. It's not clear. But when we come to the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, I'll read you two hadiths about this. One hadith is a companion of Imam Al-Rada alayhi salam. He comes and he asks him about the sihr. He tells him, is magic real? Is there true magic? And the Imam tells him, yes. He tells him, إِنَّهُ حَقٌّ السِّحْرُ حَقٌّ. It's true, there is true magic. وَإِنَّهُمْ يَضُرُّونَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. And magicians can hurt you. Don't think that it's all fake. No, they can hurt you. They have the power to hurt you and harm you. So this hadith clearly states that there is true magic and there are magicians that possess this power. But however, there is another hadith that says the opposite. There's a hadith that's narrated of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And the hadith says that one day an atheist came to Imam Sadiq and he asked him many questions. And then he asked him about magic. And amongst the questions that he posed to the Imam was what? He asked him, is magic real? Do you believe that there are certain magicians that can do real stuff or no? And he asked him this. He told him, can a magician turn a human being into a dog or into a donkey or not? This is an interesting question. Can a magician turn a human being? He takes his wand and he says abracadabra, and all of a sudden this poor human being turns into a barking dog, or he turns into a donkey. Is this possible or is it not? The Imam, he tells them, no, this is not possible. إِنَّهُ أَعْجَزْ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. He doesn't have the power to do that. And then the Imam, he tells him, if this person had the power to turn a human being into an animal, then this person would have used his powers to what? To be immortal, to never become sick. Why is it that you find even magicians become sick? Magicians have problems. Magicians, many times you'll find they're poor. If he had such superpowers, why can't he use his superpowers to help himself? So this is a clear indication, according to the Imam, this is a clear sign that you have to be careful. These magicians are all what? Scams. It's all fake. It's all illusions. Or else if they truly had power, they would help themselves before they would harm others. So there's two conflicting ahadith. Is there real magic? Is there not? Like, once again I say, Allahu A'lam. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if there is true magic or there is no true magic. Now, the point is, brothers and sisters, even if there is true magic, it's very rare. It's very, very, very rare. Most of the magic that we see, it's from the fake magic. It's the illusions. And another important point that I have to bring to your attention is that there is a problem in many societies, and this exists even more in the Middle East, is that magic, the idea of magic, and especially jinn, this is blown out of proportion. It's exaggerated. You find some people, any problem that they have in their lives, they blame it on what? On magic, it's a spell, or it's the jinn. You go to a mother, why did your son flunk this year? It was a spell. Someone casted a spell on my poor son. She does not realize that her son never studied, that he was out every day with his friends, and he never studied, and that's why he flunked. She doesn't want to say that. She's not aware of that. And thus she blames it on magic, or she says it's to the jinn. Or many people you find in society, they're sick, especially if it's a psychological sickness. If a person has depression, right away people will say what? Oh, it's probably a jinn, or it's probably magic. Someone did magic on this poor guy, and that's why he's depressed. There is no physical reason. There's no, for example, medical reason. No, there's a jinn. And that's why I find many of these people, when they want help, I've seen this, they come to the religious scholars because they believe this has to do with the supernatural. This has to do with jinn. And they want, for example, some dua or something to keep the jinn away, or to, break the effect of the magic. Most cases, brothers and sisters, our problems in our society, if not all of them, are not from magic. They're not from jinn. There is jinn, we believe there's jinn, there is the devil, there is magic. But however, we're taking it out of proportion. We're completely exaggerating the situation. These things do exist, but we ourselves have problems that have real reasons. I have depression because there's a real reason. There's a medical reason, there's a chemical reason, there's something wrong in my body. It doesn't have to do with the jinn. Or many people, you find, many women, many wives, they're not able to become pregnant. They blame it on the jinn, or they blame it on magic. Or as soon as there's a problem between a couple, a married couple, right away it's blamed on magic. This is wrong, brothers and sisters. This is the wrong mentality. This shows that we have a very, very shallow, a very, very superficial way of thinking. This is a backwards way of thinking. Every problem has its roots, it has its reasons. I have to search and see what's the problem, what's the reason, and only then I'll be able to solve the problem. So the next time I see a problem in my life, I can't blame it on the jinn. I cannot blame it on magic. Even if it exists, even if it's real, that's not the root of my problem. So this is the third point. And going back to what is magic and what is not magic, what is halal and what is not halal, I said that there are two types of magic. The fake, and we divided that into two parts, and the real magic, and we divided that into two parts. And many ulama, they deem all of that as haram and it's magic. Now when you come, for example, to contemporary ulama, for the Sayyid Al-Khou'i. Sayyid Al-Khou'i, he believes that there is no such thing as real magic. Now, not that he believes that there is no person in this world that has superpowers. No, he doesn't say that. But he says, if there is someone that has superpowers, real powers in this dunya, then that is not considered as magic. When the Imams speak against magic, they're not speaking about anything that's real. They're speaking about the illusions. So all the ahadith that speak negatively of magic, this is only speaking about the fake magic. Because magic to him, he defines magic as what? As something that relies on deceit. Something that relies on fooling the human being and creating illusions. So magic means illusions. If it's real, it's not magic. And thus it's not haram. And that's why you find the Sayyid al-Khoury. He says that if you find someone that has these superpowers, this is not considered magic and it's not haram. Unless he's doing something haram with it. Unless he's hurting people. He's doing something harmful with it. And likewise, the second type of fake magic that we call sleight of hand, Sha'bada, Sayyid al-Khoury says this is not haram. If someone knows how to do fast magic tricks using the cards, this is not haram. This is using speed. This is using the quick hands. He says this is not haram, and he says that this is not even magic. This is called Sha'bada, and it's not a part of magic unless it is used to harm someone. Anything that's used to harm someone, it becomes haram. So that's not because it's magic. And most of our contemporary ulama, like Sayyid al-Sistani and other ulama, they agree with him. That the sleight of hand, the sha'bada, is not haram unless it's used to hurt other people. And the fourth point, brother and sister, remains where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions magic in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in many incidents in the Quran. I'll speak about that tomorrow. But we find in one story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks about magic in the story of Harut and Marut, the two angels that came after Sulaiman. I'll speak about the verses of that tomorrow. In other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the magic that existed during the time of Prophet Musa, the sorcerers of Fir'aun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about that. And there are some certain other verses that speak about the magic in the Quran, and there are some commentators, non-Shia commentators, that have based a view on certain verses, and they conclude based on some verses that even our Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was what? He was bewitched in a certain situation, and he was put under a magic spell, and they based this on a verse in the Quran. And inshallah, we will go over that to see if this is true or not. And we will inshallah stop here and continue the lecture inshallah tomorrow. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our a'mal, to bless us all, to forgive us of all of our sins, and to accept our a'mal and our fasting, and to give us the tawfiq that we are able to take advantage of the month of Ramadan. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.